Hey, how's it going, YouTube? Lawler here. RLCS is back in swing with RLCS 2025 EU Birmingham Open 2 getting underway. We had our top 32 competing in Swiss, and we're finally down to our top 16. In today's video, we're going to do two things. Number one, quick recap, surprises, upsets, familiar faces, all that kind of stuff. We're going to go over what the matches were this weekend in case you guys didn't tune into all 33 of them. Rightfully so. And technically by 33, I mean 66 because there's two groups of 16. It's a ton of matches. And then the second thing, we're actually going to show you guys as a reminder how these tournaments and how these matches give us our matches for the following for our top 16. We found out that there's actually a hidden rule that is not listed in the rulebook that is actually determining how matches play out. It explains a lot with 9 lives in North America last time, even though they had a higher bushel score. We'll be giving you guys a full run through. So again, if you guys want to know how the heck these matches are determined, I'll be doing these hopefully every week ahead of time. Go check out the Twitter, the socials down below. I make it as easy as I can for you guys. So with that in mind, as always, if you guys enjoy the content, like, subscribe, turn on notifications. But let's take a look at the results and some things to pay attention to. Number one, Dignitas bouncing back and getting some revenge. Pretty important match for them. May not seem like it, but it is. Dignitas, if you guys don't remember, in Regional 1 or in Open 1 were shoo-ins for top 4, but they actually conceded to the 100% team. They had a pretty rough go. Fast forward, the team that upset Vitality last time did get a response to it, right? So they did end up making it back into top 16. They then played Redemption, who also bounced back in the sense of, hey, you guys kind of bottomed out, went 0-2 in the group stage in the GSL format. Hopefully Redemption cannot just go 0-2 again. I know Cash and those guys were really frustrated about it. With that in mind, then I talk about 100%. 100% is that team that did end up going into top 4. Dignitas was the one that should have won that match, but conceded, I think, in like a really close game 7, if I remember correctly. Getting revenge. Pretty important there. K-Dop and the boys are back for Caliente. Good to see Fast Forward back in. Surprised to see teams like Synergy, if you guys don't remember Synergy with AJG and Dorito and those guys, not making it in by losing to K-Dop. Pretty crazy. Some of the OGs back with Extra and Astral, still 3-1, looking solid. Their only loss coming to the GK guys, who put up a much better performance. GK only conceded to the #1 team in the world right now in K-Corp. Other than that, they went perfect. 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. Congratulations to the GK. They played very, very well. That is what you want to see out of this team, because I think they're a coin flip at times. Other than that, some pretty similar names here and there. Arrogant just barely missing out. More familiar ones probably on the other side of things in our Group B situation. The team that you guys know I've been glazing, that I'm so keen on. 3-0, 9-1 game differential. They also swept Gentlemates. I'm telling you, they're a top 3. I know people are going to be crazy seeing my power rankings, and they're going to be like, what the heck, Lawler? You're insane. I'm telling you, as they get more experience, as they get more timing together, if they start working on their boost management stuff, because that's going to be their biggest problem. Teams like K-Corp and Vitality can compete with their pace and their mechanics, and if they don't have boost to work with, they're going to be in so much trouble. So the nice thing is Itachi is one of the better ones when it comes to that. NIP, though, showing, hey, we are a step ahead. I think NIP is so dang good, and they're only going to get better. To me, they're top 3. Can they compete against Vitality? This head-to-head is what I'm paying attention to. Hopefully we get to see it. Vitality, on the other hand, I think had a pretty easy run against Ascend, HSK, and RRG. I think RRG is probably one of the weaker ones in that 3-1 round. So I think congrats to them on moving through. But realistically, Vitality, I think, had a realistic, pretty solid run. The biggest surprise, obviously, and the reason why they didn't have this was because of the difficulties that they faced with Fast Forward last time, where they conceded that very first round. Outside of that, Mates, pretty clean run as well. Unfortunately for Novo, this is the full Italian team. They did not make it, but familiar faces otherwise. JJ Rocks with Mark by 8, and those guys made it this time. Start Point is back. RRG's back. Ascend is back. Nomster, though, a new team making their way in. I was actually very surprised to not see Wild make it in. Again, some of these names, some of these teams like Wild, Novo, Sick, even on the other side, like Arrogant and Synergy not making it through. I think Wild and Synergy not making it through are probably my biggest surprises, considering the talent. Like Ivan and Tempo and Tekos and like a lot of those guys that are kind of like next man up are pretty dang good. So for them to not make it and lose it close, credit to Nomster. Ice in the veins. One of the benefits of not having expectations on you. I think that can kind of be an advantage. I will say we were watching a little bit this weekend on Sunday. And it's like, okay, things going as expected. We got to the 3-1 rounds. I'm like, yeah, that adds up. And then I blinked and then I saw some of the other results and I'm like, okay, didn't see that coming. That's pretty crazy. Now, when it comes to bushels and everything else, as a quick reiteration, I'm probably gonna have to do this every single week for y'all. The way that these work, I have paired it and tried to make it as simple as possible for the seeding. Whether you love or hate it, there's a lot of conversation about not controlling your own fate and stuff. There's two sides to this coin in this argument, and I will try to get through it. So the way that this works and the tiebreakers that are associated to it, there's technically 3 tiebreakers. How you do in Swiss, what your bushel score is, and then what your initial seeding is. What they don't tell you in the RLCS 2025 rulebook, and this is something that is not public, this is something that is only held behind closed doors in the RLCS Discord, conversations with admins and staff, is that they actually compare your seeding on a row by row basis because they don't want anybody to supersede somebody. I promise it'll make sense. I'll provide visuals to make it easier for you. So let's go through the list and kind of show you how this is technically done and the way it should be done. First rule, Swiss finish. How did you do? All the 3-0 teams paired together, all the 3-1 teams paired together, all the 3-2 teams paired together. Great. Because they're all tied with those results, we go to the next seeding, which is your bushels. If you don't remember bushels, that is your strength of competition. For example, people are like, K-Corp did really well. Why are they the last seed? Why are they the 4th seed instead of the 1st seed? They played Synergy, who went 2 and 3, so that's -1. They played, say, a Super Team, who went 1 and 3, that's -2, so now they're at -3. And then they played GK to qualify their only tough competition, who went 3 and 1. So that's +2, which now puts them at -1. In comparison to teams like Dignitas, they played a top 8 team, a top 8 team, and a top 8 team. Go to the other side. Ninjas in Pajamas, top 8 team, top 8 team, top 8 team. Vitality, top 8 team, not a top 8 team, top 8 team. So bushels is taking into account the competition in which you are playing. And if you play easier competition, you're not as rewarded for it. And the thing that they don't tell us about is that they're also comparing the placement of how you do in your group. And that is something new that I have added. So notice how I have group B1, A1, B1, B2, so on and so forth. They are comparing A1 versus B1. NIP versus Dignitas. How did they do in bushels? They got 4. Ninjas in Pajamas got 4. And because Ninjas in Pajamas got 4th last tournament, while Dignitas got 6th, NIP gets the 1 seed, Dignitas gets the 2 seed, which is how we get our first matchup. NIP is 1, Dignitas is 2. Next, how did K-Corp do? How did Vitality do? K-Corp has a bushels of -1. Vitality has a bushels of 2. So now Vitality is 3. K-Corp is 4. So we go Vitality 3rd seed. K-Corp 4th seed. Next, how did Redemption do? How did Gentlemates do? Gentlemates has a bushels of 0. Redemption has a bushels of 4. So Redemption is 5 seed. Gentlemates is 6 seed. Next, how did GK do? How did Ascend do? Ascend is at a 0. GK is at a 2. So GK is now the 7th seed. Ascend is the 8th seed. So on and so forth. What they don't tell you in the RLCS rulebook is that they are comparing the head-to-head in the group the whole way down. That was not in the rules. It was not something that was expressed. The only thing they have in the rules is these 3 statements. It is Swiss, bushels, original seeding. What they don't say and what they should do is put an asterisk here and say, hey, we actually compare the following parameters. And the only reason I have this information is because it was sent to me via Discord and we're able to figure it out. So keep in mind that every step away, they are compared. And I know I have group A1, B1, blah, blah, blah. These are actually incorrect. What I should do, technically, A1, NIP is B1, Vitality is B2, K-Corp is A2, Redemption is technically A3, and then they're comparing the inverse of that to each other. With that in mind, in the conversation that people have been having, is they're very frustrated that, like, hey, K-Corp went 9 and 1 in their game differential. They played the competition that they played and went 9 and 1. Why aren't they rewarded for that? They controlled their fate. They did exactly what they were supposed to. They dominated. They did their thing, so on and so forth. To which then I said, well, at the same time, should we really reward a team for going 9-1 when the team they played was garbage? Like, the teams they played were objectively worse. You can, just like when we did groups, we did a round robin group stage where people were like, do we do head to head? Where like, hey, you went 2-1, I went 2-1, and because we beat each other, I should move forward. Or in round robin, do you weight game differential, where it's like, hey, across all 3 matches, I played better. You only played better in 1 match out of the 3. So should I get an advantage there? And people are on both sides of the coin. Bushels is also very contemplative in that regard too. Do you take game differential as the first tiebreaker, or do you take bushels as the first tiebreaker? Do you even take game differential as a tiebreaker at all? Because if you do that, then you say, okay, K Corp went 3-0 with a 9-1 game differential plus 8. NIP went 3-0 with a plus 8 game differential, and so did Vitality. And then you go, okay, NIP had a bushel score 4, they're 1, Vitality's 2, K Corp's 3, Dignitas is 4. There's always going to be conversation. There's always going to be complication for it. There's always going to be some people that sit on one side of the coin or the other. The only time that I, in totality, agree is when we're talking about the expansion in minor regions, because there is a problem when there is not enough depth in the region for bushels to really come into play, because bushels is strength of schedule. And let's be perfectly clear, there's not as much depth in these other regions. Some of these other regions have like 3 or 4 really competitive teams. But then when you're talking 5 through 16, 5 through 32, it gets pushed to the wayside. What can happen sometimes, if we go look at South America right now, when you look at the groups and you see who's on the same side, you've got Secret and Furia, who are both in the grand finals, and a bunch of other teams that are also in that top 8 conversation, all stacked to one side of the bracket. Only 4 of them get to come through. Top 6 out of 8 teams are all on the same side of the bracket. I do concede on that. I wholeheartedly agree it's a little bit of a problem. But at the same time, good to see Sunset, new team coming in with Card and the boys. King Card is back, baby. On top, game differential. That's our guy. That is a different conversation altogether. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments down below. Outside of that, though, we do have our matchups, and I can, with the bracket, make them prettier for you. This is what we're going to be seeing. I say this unofficially, but I am very, very, very confident in math and my ability to do spreadsheets. These are the matchups for our groups going into Friday. NIP versus Caliente, GK versus RRG, Vitality versus JJ Rocks, Redemption versus Start Point. I think Vitality's got a Mickey bracket. And then on the other side, Dignitas versus Nomster, Ascend, Save the Game, K Corp Fast Forward, Gentlemates, 100%. If you guys would like to see who I think is going to win the whole shebang, stop at the stream, twitch.tv/Lawler. We will be doing predictions on Wednesday for a tournament match on Thursday. The video will drop on Thursday, very likely for you guys. But if you want to see it live, come by the stream. But that is going to do it for today's video. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns about things that I just went over, bushels, seeding, all that kind of stuff, I'm going to make this a blanket statement. Stop tweeting at me that the format is bad. The format's great. Love the format. We've got open qualifier double elim. We've got Swiss. We've got GSL weighted groups for a double elimination there. And then we've also got a hybrid bracket, which rewards teams that are performing better. The format is dope. The problem is the seeding within the format. Format's great. Got to fix the seeding, though, and make sure things balance out a little bit. At the end of the day, it's a news format. You got to kind of balance some things out. You got to make adjustments. And we saw that they were willing to do that last year. So, again, format's great. Seeding's problematic, which I will totally agree with. Either way, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And while you're down there, if you guys enjoy the content, like, subscribe, turn on notifications if you haven't already. Helps me out immensely. We'll catch you in the next video. Peace.